And today we're doing a coverage of the polls and the opinion polls for the 2019 Canadian election. So here we are. I'm doing CBC's coverage. This is the latest opinion polls and the latest data that they've collected on the percentage of voters that will vote for each party. And the Canadian system goes with like this. There are three major parties. Liberal, which is the current leading party, or the current party, like the current party majority, and with our leader, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And then there's the official opposition, which is the Conservative Party of Canada, led by Andrew Scheer. And then there's the NDPs, which is led by Jagmeet Singh, who does not have a seat because their leadership race has just happened. And they are the third party in Canada. They had the only people who have ever won an election, the only parties who have ever won an election are the Liberals and the Conservatives. The NDP's highest was an official opposition status, and the Bloc Québécois also at one point, with their former leader, got an official opposition status. And then the Green Party, which is allowed into the federal debates during election time, has been doing well recently. Because they've been taken seriously at federal times, and they have 6.2% of the popular vote, which amounts to almost 1 million voters. So I've covered 5 of the parties. There's a new one called the People's Party of Canada, but I'll only talk about that later because that one is kind of a separatist party. All right, so I'm going to look at the various averages in every sector of Canada. I'm going to talk about where the strongholds are for the Liberals and the Conservatives, and maybe the NDPs, but the NDPs are not doing as well as either the Liberals or the Conservatives. They have about half of the Liberals and the Conservatives. So they're not doing as well. There was a time when they could have won elections, but that's not now. If they're going to win next election, but it's not now. It's possible they lose official party status. However, I doubt that's the case. I doubt that's going to happen. So let's see. The Liberals and the Conservatives. So in Canada, Liberals are leading by, let's see, 2.8%. So they're leading by 2.8%. Okay. So 2.8%. That's how much they're leading by. So, for this election, the battlegrounds are BC and Ontario. The strongholds are for the Conservatives are the Alberta and the Prairies, because recently Alberta has been hating the Liberals, because of things that they have done, and the Albertans obviously blame the Liberals because they have always been very conservative. So I'm gonna go there, and we'll see how big of a margin it is. 60.3%, where the Liberals are at 19.7%. NDPs are even lower, and the Greens and PPC, okay, I'm going to talk about them now. So, the PPC is basically the separatist movement from the Conservative Party, led by Maxime Bernier. He tried to become the leader of the official opposition, the leader of the Conservatives, but he failed to win over Andrew Scheer, so he is now a separate party. So, as I said, the Greens and the PPC are basically non-existent. NDPs and Liberals are sort of have some presence, but not much. Conservatives are dominant over everything. All the other polls combined don't even match to the Conservatives. So, let's see. The Prairies, another very stronghold, where there's definitely a stronger Liberal base, but the Conservatives are still leading very heavily here. This is their stronghold, which I think they will win. They will win Alberta and Prairies. Confirmed. There's no doubt about that. Those are their strongholds. Now let's look at the Liberal strongholds. So Quebec, extremely liberal. This is very liberal. Quebec is very liberal right now. Bloc Québécois is the third party, which is the Quebec Nationalist Party, if I didn't mention that. But they are not going to do as well because they have been losing ever since their leader left, their former leader. I don't even know who the leader is. I haven't been following up on that party. I know the leaders of the Green, Elizabeth May, NDP, Jagmeet Singh, Conservative, Andrew Scheer, and Liberal, Justin Trudeau, and the PPC, which is Maxime Bernier. But the Bloc Québécois, I've never been following up on them because they aren't really worth my time. So, Quebec stronghold. So they are ahead by almost 20%. I'm not calculating that, but it's almost 20%. The Liberals are ahead. So this is a stronghold that I think Liberals will have. If Conservatives want to win the 2019 election, this is where they need to collect most of their seats. They need to try to find some seats from the Liberals, and they need to try to steal some. So Atlantics, extreme huge margin. The Liberals are again destroying the Conservatives, almost half time, like times 2 of the Conservative vote here. So 48.7, almost 50% of the vote goes to the Liberals. Okay, now I'm going to look at the battlegrounds. The strongest battleground here, the one that matters the most, is BC. Because BC is close within 4 parties. The Greens coming with 10.9% of the vote, which is very impressive, almost 11%. That's going to do a lot to hurt the other 3 parties. NDP 23.1, which is very strong for a third. Conservatives are 29.7, and the Liberals are 34.0. So, let's break down how each party is going to win, excluding the NDP, Greens, and PPC, because they won't. So, the Conservatives, if the Conservatives want to win, they need to win BC, they need to win Quebec, and they need to win Ontario. If the Liberals want to win, they need to hold all of those, which they have won in the past. So, the Conservatives need to get past at least 34%, and they need to beat the Liberals if they want to win this election. Okay, so this battleground. The NDP is going to do a lot here. So this is the only thing that I believe the NDP could possibly win. They could win BC. There is a chance that the Liberal vote will slip and the NDP vote will rise. That's what I think. Now, Ontario, this is a very important battleground because the NDP is basically out of the conversation here. However, they will pick a lot of Liberal votes up for people who don't want to vote Liberal, because the Liberals have done things in the past that angered the vote, and people will vote NDP. So, Liberals and Conservatives very close here. And again, the Conservatives need to win Ontario if they want to win the election, which I think they have a very strong chance with the Premier Doug Ford, who is in office right now, as the Premier of Ontario. So they have a huge chance of winning here. The NDP, half the vote of Conservatives, pretty much. The Liberals are still ahead, but not by a lot. So if they want to win, they need to win Ontario. That's the basics of the 2019 election. These are the ones I'm going to be following in future videos are BC and Ontario. Those are the ones that matter. So the trend, national trend, weighted averages, Liberals are ahead, but the Conservatives are very close behind. Very close. The Liberals are going on a slight upwards, while the Conservatives are on a slight downwards. And the NDP is rising by a little bit, but the Conservatives and the Liberals are the only ones who have a chance of winning the election, unless the NDP pull off some miracle. I think that the NDP can hit at a max 23%. If they hit 23%, they should be in a good position to further themselves for future elections. So, here's where I want seat projection. Now we can look at the battlegrounds, because we know Alberta destroys the Liberals and the NDP, who only get 1 seat from Alberta. That's really strong. And then BC, this is the battleground state. So here's the battleground province. I nearly said state. Oh my god. Oh, it's going all downhill. Okay. All right, so look at this. 15 oh my god, Liberals and Conservatives are tied. So this is going to be a seat that's fought. This is going to be an area that's fought for. And it's not the vote that matters, it's the seats. So if the Conservatives get 1 more seat, but the Liberals have, like, let's say 3% more vote, then it's going to be the Conservatives that take BC. So the NDP vote is also important. They have 11 seats, which is very, very strong. So it's between those 3, and the Greens picking up 1 seat, which is obviously Elizabeth May. So this is very important. If the Conservatives can take off 3 seats from the NDP and 2 from the Liberals, I think the Conservatives can do a lot of damage in the House of Commons. This will hurt the Liberal vote. This will hurt everything if they can win. This will hurt how the Liberals go in this election. Prairies. So, 19 Conservatives. This is a destruction for the Conservatives. They are destroying the Liberals and the NDP. Liberals only with 8 and the NDPs with 1. So, Liberals are the official opposition here, but the NDPs are not even in the conversation. Okay. So, let's look at the Quebec. Quebec, Liberals 60 seats, Conservatives with 14, and the Blocs with 3. So the Blocs are heavier here than the NDPs are. NDP have 1. So the Liberals obviously destroying every party here. Okay, now let's look at the Atlantic. Way bigger margin, 4 Conservative seats, 27 Liberals, and 1 NDP seat. So the Liberals still destroying in everything. They're destroying Quebec and Atlantics. The Conservatives are destroying Alberta and Prairies. That sounds really bad. Okay, so we saw the Battleground seat BC, now Battleground Ontario. Not as big of a margin as BC. BC is going to be more important because of the seats, because of how close those seats are. But however, there's way more seats in Ontario, so if Conservatives win Ontario, then the election is probably one for the Conservatives. That's my guess. And if the NDP do well here as well, because that's going to be picking up the Liberal vote because they are both leftist parties, then the NDP, if the NDP do, okay, so here's how it goes. If the NDP do well in this election, because they won't win, but if they get their highest margin possible and take off those Liberal seats, the Conservatives can win. If the NDP don't do poorly, then the Conservatives won't win because the NDP, the Liberal vote is taken from the NDP vote. If you understand what I'm saying. So, seat projection ranges. So, ranging the Liberals 120 seats as their lowest weight. That's still very prominent. That's very strong. That would be very hard. That's wow. So this is the projection for the so the Liberals, they have a low chance of losing at the current time, but I think the Conservatives will pull heavier and it'll even out to around 50-50. So lowest 120, highest 220. So 100 seats higher, they could get 220, which would be, they wouldn't have any problems passing through laws at that point. So 92 for Conservatives is the lowest, and 175 as the highest. So the only 2 parties who have chances of winning. You can see here, because the NDP, the Blocs, and the Greens are not even close. So NDP's lowest 7, NDP's highest 55. So if they get 55, they will be a strong lead in the House of Commons. They can be a strong third party. They'll have say in lots of things. 0 for the Blocs, that's their lowest possible. 16 for their highest. So if they get 16, they will be recognized as an official party. 1 as their lowest for the Greens and 5 as their highest. So if they get 5, that would be ideal for them. They have more say in the House of Commons. 0 for the PPC and 1 for the PPC as their highest. So Maxime Bernier will probably win that 1 seat. So here's the probability of winning. It's literally almost 75% for the Liberals and 25% for the Conservatives. So Conservative minority, 18.1%. Conservative majority, 7.5%. So the minority is way higher of a chance. The Liberal minority, 23.0%. And the Liberal majority is over 50% with 50.6%. The 0.7 is a tie. So this is the chance of each party winning. Okay, so here's how it is right now. So the NDP have recently been on a huge drop, as you can see. They're going down. But the Liberals and Conservatives are both going slightly up. So, the NDP going down because they used to be in the election contention, but they had a huge drop before the election happened. They had a huge drop because things were said and things happened that should not have happened, and the NDP could have won the election if they had not done what they had did. So this is the first time for almost 5